Hey everyone, ready for something a little different today? We're going to be diving into the Genesis creation story.
But not the one you're probably used to.
Yeah, not the Sunday school version.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at two accounts from people who used hypnosis.
That's right. Under hypnosis, they claim to have accessed information about,
About the origins of the book of Genesis.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, now I know some of you are probably thinking, hypnosis? Come on, is this legit? And look, we're not trying to prove or disprove anything here.
No, not at all.
It's more like, think of these accounts as pieces of history.
Right, like archaeological finds almost.
Yeah, like finding a lost scroll or something. So in this deep dive, we're going to be focusing on what these two women, Svetlana and Tatiana, remembered under hypnosis.
And we're going to see if there are any common threads running through their experiences.
Exactly. Because even though their accounts are full of all sorts of, well,
Surprises?
yeah, surprises, they both talk about creation in a way that's, it's way more interactive than the traditional 7-day story.
Yeah, that's definitely a common thread. This idea that humans are active participants in the creation process.
All right, we're not just sitting on the sidelines watching it happen. We're somehow involved. So let's start with Svetlana's account. Under hypnosis, she describes seeing a man, this is in the mid-20th century, who's putting together the book of Genesis.
And what's interesting is he's not just working with old texts, he's also getting these instructions, let's call them, that he's supposed to include.
So it's like he's being told what to write.
Yeah, it's like he's creating a very specific narrative for a specific purpose.
Oh, okay, so are we talking about some hidden agenda here? Like maybe the book wasn't supposed to be just a historical or spiritual text?
That's what Svetlana's account suggests. She says he was working on behalf of the system, which to me implies some kind of attempt to control information, maybe even to keep the creation story shrouded in mystery.
Okay, now that's really interesting.
Hmm.
Why would anyone want to control the story of creation? Like, what's the big deal?
Well, think about it. Creation stories are fundamental. They shape how we see ourselves, where we came from, our whole place in the universe.
Yeah, okay, I see.
And then they can be used to influence people, to get them to believe certain things, to behave in certain ways.
So it's not just the story itself, it's the power that the story has.
Exactly. And for Svetlana, this idea of control goes even deeper. She talks about creation being an internal process, something that happens within us.
Okay, now this is where it gets a little out there.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
She talks about intention and the power of sound.
And she even mentioned something about breathing through your nose being important because it stimulates the pineal gland.
Which she believes helps us transmit our intentions into the collective creation.
Right. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for trying new things, but breathing through my nose to create reality.
Well, it might sound strange, but it does tie into some ancient spiritual traditions and even some modern practices like meditation that emphasize the power of focused intention.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
So is she saying that we're all like mini creators?
Yeah.
That we have more power to shape reality than we realize?
I think that's the heart of what she's saying. And she even suggests that this idea of humans having dominion over nature, that we're somehow separate from it, might be a way to distract us from our true potential as co-creators.
Wow. That's a pretty different way of thinking about our relationship with the natural world.
Mm.
Instead of being masters of the universe, we're more like partners.
Partners, collaborators, maybe even stewards. It definitely makes you think about our role on this planet in a new way.
Yeah, it really does make you think. And, you know, it's interesting how Svetlana's account connects with some of those ideas about the environment. You know, like how we're all connected.
Right, like we're part of this big web of life.
Exactly. So what we do to the planet, we're really doing to ourselves. But okay, let's move on to Tatiana's account now. This one takes us in a completely different direction.
Okay, everyone, get ready for this one because it's pretty wild. Tatiana talks about these two alien races, one with blue skin, the other with white skin. And she believes they were involved in creating this dome, like a closed environment here on Earth.
Wait, hold on. So aliens created a dome and put us in it.
Yeah, she actually links this dome to the Garden of Eden.
Like the Garden of Eden was this dome.
Right. She suggests it was more like a lab where these aliens were doing experiments on humans.
Okay, this is like straight out of a sci-fi movie.
I know it sounds crazy, but remember, we're looking for those common threads. And even in this really out there story, Tatiana also talks about a hidden agenda, about someone controlling things.
Okay, yeah. She says these aliens put a special gene into humans to keep their bloodlines from mixing. And she thinks the 7 days of creation were just a way for them to manipulate time to control us.
Right, like the biblical timeline is a fabrication, a way to mess with our perception of history.
Wow. So both Svetlana and Tatiana are saying that the Genesis story, the one we all know, might be fake. made up to control us.
Yeah, whether it's this system Svetlana talks about or these advanced aliens, it seems like someone's pulling the strings.
Okay, my head is spinning. This is a lot to take in.
I know. And Tatiana doesn't stop there. She also says that the story of Adam and Eve being kicked out of the Garden in Eden, that was all made up too.
So the whole fall from grace thing was a lie.
According to her, yes. It was a way for these aliens to justify taking control. They had all this advanced technology, lasers, sound weapons, the whole 9 yards.
Wow. This is like a whole hidden history of the world.
It's definitely a provocative idea, and even if it's not true, it does make you think about power. Who has it, how they use it.
Yeah. Like, who are the real gods in this story? And how much control do they have over our lives?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's interesting that both accounts mention this idea of manipulating time. Svetlana says the timeline might be distorted, and Tatiana says the 7 days were a tool of control.
So they're both messing with our idea of time. Like, time isn't what we think it is.
Exactly. It makes you wonder how much of what we call reality is actually just someone else's version of it.
Okay, so we've got Svetlana talking about intention and sound, and Tatiana talking about aliens and genetic engineering. It's a wild mix. Are there any other things they both agree on?
Well, yeah. They both seem to believe that the power of creation, it comes from within us, not from some outside force.
Right. We're not just puppets on a string. We're actually part of the creation process.
That's it. And if that's true, then understanding how creation really works and our role in it becomes even more important.
Okay. So that's what they agree on.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the differences? Like Tatiana talks about aliens. Svetlana doesn't write.
Right. Svetlana focuses more on humans, on how information is controlled and how creation happens within us. Tatiana's account is much bigger. It's cosmic. It's about forces we don't really understand.
So it's like they're looking at the same thing, but from completely different angles.
I see.
Svetlana's view is more personal. Tatiana's more out there.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so interesting. They're giving us different ways to look at this story that's been around for thousands of years. They're making us question everything we thought we knew.
Okay, both accounts are fascinating. But what does it all mean for us? Why should we even care about these alternative versions of the Genesis story?
Well, I think the main point is that stories, especially stories like this one, have the power to shape how we see ourselves and the world. You know what I mean?
Like, it's not just a story. It's something that affects our beliefs, our values, even our actions.
Exactly.
And like, if we believe that the Genesis story is, literally true, then that might lead us to think certain things about creation, about our role in it, about how we should treat nature.
Yeah, like maybe that humans are separate from nature or even above it.
But what if there's more to the story? What
Yeah.
if we're actually a part of creation?
Like both Svetlana and Tatiana suggest.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
we're not just watching, we're actually doing it, creating.
Right, and that means, well, that we have a responsibility not just to ourselves, but to everything around us.
Yeah, it's a big shift in thinking. So, wow, this has been quite a deep dive. I don't know about you, but my head is spinning.
Mine too.
But whether you're feeling inspired or confused or maybe a little bit of both,
Or just plain curious.
I hope this has made you think, made you question things.
And maybe even made you wonder about your own creative power.
Yeah, because if creation really does come from within us, like both Svetlana and Tatiana seem to believe, then the possibilities are, well,
Endless.
endless. So whether you believe these accounts or not, I think the important thing is that they make us look at things differently.
Yeah, to question what we think we know and to be open to new ideas, even if they sound a little crazy at first.
Exactly. And who knows? Maybe there are even more hidden stories out there waiting to be discovered.
Maybe we all have our own creation stories just waiting to be told.
That's a great thought. Well, that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us and keep exploring.